Well, everybody see right there, just about chilled right now because it's 21 degrees centigrade here in Abuja, and it's humidity of about 39% this morning here on Sunrise Daily. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Chamberlain. So,
it's a beautiful morning to you all. A very happy day all over the country. Every Nigerian very excited about our score yesterday and getting ready for this final at the AFCON. So there's a lot of celebration in the air, and on your screens right there, you're looking at the beautiful skyline of Asokoro right here in Abuja. We will be in that mix, I think, somewhere. We are located in that mix somewhere, but there you have it, Asokoro, Abuja. Good morning, I am Kayla Nagwa.
And now let me take you to one of the cradles of sports in Nigeria. That is the National Stadium, built in 1972 and has hosted sundry events. It's still the National Stadium right there on the left of your screen. Good morning and welcome. This is Western Avenue, also redubbed Funshaw Williams Avenue. My name is Ayo Makinde. This is Lagos. And welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Undefeated, undisputed, all the foes, luxury or nothing, money is talking, money is talking, blessings on blessings, how much is money? Now you know. Undefeated, undisputed, all the foes, luxury or nothing, money is talking, money is talking, blessings on blessings, how much is money?
Oh, who can blame anyone this morning? I can't blame anyone, actually. I cannot do that. Not today of all days. The morning after. This is the best time to use that phrase, the morning after, because, yes, that is exactly the feeling right now all over the country and beyond, I might add, because you had tons of people who watched it globally. Nigerians all over the world right now are over the moon, because, yes, indeed. And why not? What a morning it is, and goodness me. Oh, yeah, so, I mean, I know it's semi-final. It's a big deal. Yes, indeed, we'll qualify for the finals. And so we're keeping our gunpowder dry for that one. I'm hoping I'm not counting the chicks.
I want to count those chicks. I want us to be able to be positive. It's been a fantastic coming together of every Nigerian. I had to watch that match yesterday, and you know we have a new group now. We're called Umuabale. Really? Yes, we're the children of that goalkeeper right now.
Okay.
Yes.
There's still a final to play though.
Yes, but we will continue to ginger them until they're able to win that cup. But I mean, it was wonderful to watch everyone just come together. Everyone was so happy. Everyone is still very happy. We're still basking the morning after, like you said, and I cannot wait. I'm positive now. I think we can get this cup. I think so.
Well, I mean, a lot of people also think that, but what a match it was. Of course, we'll talk about all of those as we progress. Where is Ayo in all of this celebration, by the way? I mean, what are you doing? Okay, well, even if you didn't watch the match, but by now, you should have seen the highlights, if nothing. You should have seen that.
Well, Chamberlain,
or you've not seen it.
Watch.
Well, it's the reason I told you guys, I started by showing you the National Stadium in Lagos. That's the reason I showed you the National Stadium. So you can know that there is a cradle and it's in Lagos. Now I'm just saying, come on, guys, come on. You have your stardom there. I got mine here, okay? So, well, that, you know, it's one of those amazing things. Yes, I watched the match after the match. You know, but I couldn't watch the 90 minutes. Even after seeing the results, guys, 1 second. Even after seeing the results, I still had high blood pressure. Come on, guys, please, give me some, cut me some slack. I need to live, okay? Allow me to live. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, no worries. We'll talk about all of that as we progress here this morning. But let's take you through some of what you may get to see much later today. It's happening at the courts here in Abuja, the Federal High Court. Remember the Rivers State matter, the House of Assembly that went down? First of all, the explosion that occurred there. Well, guess what? Trial of 5 men charged for arson, terrorism will begin today at the Federal High Court, Abuja. So they have their day in court. The court has refused them bail time, and so now they're focusing on all of that.
And then we're also going to be looking at the House of Reps today, considering outstanding bills, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act amendments. So that is something that we will be looking out for today from the National Assembly. So we'll be giving you the details. Of course, Channels Television is there live, and we will be giving you every single detail of what happens at the National Assembly today. But really, that case in Rivers, it's one that we would like to see the outcome of this particular matter.
Well, it's just the beginning.
Yes.
So we'll be, don't know, who knows, don't know if it's long drawn or whatever. Well, the trial begins today.
Yes.
So we just have to keep tabs on all of that and see how the whole thing progresses and how it impacts whatever plays on or moving forward with Rivers.
Today we are looking, while we're celebrating and being happy and joyous, the cost of living is, the protest around cost of living is still going around. And that's the focus of Business Morning today, the cost of living protests and the implication of a court order has been issued in that regard. That's on the next hour of Sunrise Daily this morning.
All right, let's run you through some of the dailies here this morning. We'll start with Vanguard newspaper and look at the big lead on the front page here this morning. Why not? Super Eagles soar into AFCON finals, beat plucky South Africans 4-2 on penalties. And then you can see the big picture there as well. Big game, big temperament, big players. Well, they didn't go the big fall. They went the big way by winning big, as a matter of fact, on the day. Yes, that's what you see right here on the front page of Vanguard.
And of course, the Super Eagles on every front page today. I'm looking at the New Telegraph, of course, Mwabali, a hero, as Eagles fly into AFCON final with dramatic win over Bafana. More on page 31 of the New Telegraph. Well, there are other headlines here. We're seeing this one here. Actually, it's the biggest one on the front page of the New Telegraph. Rising inflation, fixed prices of goods in 7 days. Court orders the federal government. I think we're going to be talking more about this during the show as well. But that's from the New Telegraph there, right here this morning. Ayo.
Well, it's a similar it's a similar issue on the front page of the Nigerian Observer, leading with the picture of the Super Eagles after the match in the company of the Vice President, all celebrating right there. But the lead story, of course, is Senate in renewed push to tackle insecurity. A Jones meeting with service chiefs expands invitees list as Governor Sani blames insecurity on poverty, lack of education, others. That, of course, was taken from our program of yesterday. That's the lead story of the Nigerian Observer today.
Have a look at The Guardian today. Court orders FG to fix prices, inflation, as agitation heightens. So this will definitely be something that catches a lot of attention here this morning. So that's a big one in front of The Guardian.
From the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, bandits threaten to marry bride, sell 62 wedding guests, demand 100 million naira ransom. More on that story from page 4, but very scary story right there, the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. And you can get more on that from page 4 if you are interested in that particular story. Ayo?
Yeah, the front page of this Nigerian newspaper catches my interest this morning, and it is it's like back to life and back to reality. This Nigerian newspaper leads with a rather disturbing story. 88.4 million Nigerians living in extreme poverty. That's according to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. Find the details of that on page 4. Men living on less than $1.90 a day reached around 44.7 million, while the count was at 43.7 million for women. That's this Nigeria lead story today.
All right, so, but look at the Observer as well quickly. Senate in renewed push to tackle insecurity. So, yes, John's meeting with service chiefs expands invitees list as Governor Sani blames insecurity on poverty, lack of education, others. An Observer.
Well, those are the major papers that we have this morning.
So one of the key things that sticks out, guys, on this one is this court ordering FG to fix prices, inflation, but there's several questions about that, but we intend also trying to get perspectives on this matter to see how practicable is this going to be, because, I mean, it highlights the prices. A bag of rice, 50 kg, 35,000 as at May 2023, but now, February 2024, you see it at 65,000, so 85.7% increase, as the paper highlights on the front page here this morning, alongside several other scenarios. But the importance, the essence, the need to ensure that they rein in some of these prices with policies and ensure that these policies have effects with results to show for it will be key as the country progresses. So the economic management team have a job. They've got the job cut out for them. So while the Senate or National Assembly may invite them to come forward and explain, they, on the other hand, need to ensure that Nigerians not just talk the talk, they need to walk the talk.
I mean, rising inflation, and we're seeing pockets of protests about the standard of living and how difficult it is to afford basic amenities. That is something that the government really needs to look at, because if the people unite in anger, it would not be a very good result. And I think it's important that these teams, these engagements that are going on right now, focus on immediate results for the Nigerian, because it is difficult out there for the Nigerians to even survive. 88.4 million Nigerians living in extreme poverty. That is a very strange number, and it's something that the federal government needs to look at. It's great that all these engagements are going on right now, but they have to do more, and results are crucial.
Ayo.
Well, the front page of Vanguard is what I go to, and guess what my pick is Mr. and Mrs. on the front page of this Nigeria, and it's fairly talking about the cost of living as well. Mrs. is complaining, "You refuse to let me work. I've been a full-time housewife since we married. Now you want to reduce my allowance because of the harsh economy. Do you want me to work now?" And Mr. says, "I'm not asking you to work. I just want you to work it out." Well, that's my take this morning. I think it speaks for itself. Maybe Kayla understands that.
So there you go. All right, so that wraps it up. But look at some of the DDs here this morning. But we'll be back in a moment and take you through all of these matters in just a moment. Don't go away.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. One cube, endless possibilities.
With Glovo, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate with your whole body. Because when that tasty grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts. The ingredients for your favorite recipe just in time. And when the cake arrives, the party is on. Because receiving anything on Glovo deserves a dance. Download the app, order anything you want, and track it minute by minute until it arrives. Glovo, order anything, we deliver in minutes.
Kana da abubuwa da yawa yau. Ovaltine kyakkyawan zaɓi domin yara masu basira.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes please. Provide care when our nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, for pure love.
Welcome to the future of gold mining with Japan Gold and Ventures PLC, where vision meets innovation. We have a bold vision to become a major player in gold, copper, and lithium mining production and refining globally, with a commitment to investing over $600 million within the next 5 years. With continuous exploration at our strategic mines in Nigeria and other countries in the world, targeting production and measured reserve of at least 30 million ounces of gold by 2028, with a world-class gold refinery. Having already secured about 650,000 ounces of gold, presently worth about $1.3 billion in one of our gold mines, we shall scale up to 100 million ounces of gold in reserve and production on or before the year 2033. Japan Gold, a new dawn shaping the future of minerals mining in Nigeria and other parts of the world. Japan, partnering for results. With Glovo, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate it with your whole body. Because when that tasty grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts. The ingredients for your favorite recipe just in time. And when the cake arrives, the party is on. Because receiving anything on Glovo deserves a dance. Download the app, order anything you want, and track it minute by minute until it arrives. Glovo, order anything, we deliver in minutes.
Taste.
With Glovo, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate it with your whole body. Because when that tasty grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts. The ingredients for your favorite recipe just in time. And when the cake arrives, the party is on. Because receiving anything on Glovo deserves a dance. Download the app, order anything you want, and track it minute by minute until it arrives. Glovo, order anything, we deliver in minutes.
Joy, unleash taste.
streets of Minna, the Niger state capital, to protest the high cost of living. Protesters blocked major roads within the metropolis in the morning, lamenting the rising cost of food items and government's inability to arrest the situation. Attempts by the deputy governor and his team to address the crowd were at first not productive. Eventually, he was able to get through to the protesters.
His Excellency received a report this morning that yes, there is a group of youths and women that are protesting about the issue of economic hardship. And already the council is on the process. He directed me, the advisor political and the commissioner for local governments, to go and address the youths, because the issue they comes up with is about issue of hunger. And already in one of the items of discussion in the council is about issue, how do you question the economic hardship of the entire state? And how do you relate with the federal governments to ensure that, yes, some policy that will come with human face, that our people will not be in languishing of this poverty. So we have gone there and we have addressed the youths that actually we are discussing to see how we can bring issue of palliative around the state, not only a segment of people that are protesting. And I want to tell you that yes, not in some few days to come, the state government will see into action to ensure that yes, we elevate the issue so that this protest will not continue.
However, later in the day, the governor, Mr. Umar Bagu, addressed residents of the state in a broadcast.
The federal government has shown interest. I've spoken to the vice president, I've spoken to the NSA on the current situation, and we're on top of it. We have also sent a lot of security apparatuses to locations where we think are vulnerable.
He also announced a ban on mass purchase of grains from local markets in the state.
Trucks who come to park or buy foodstuffs from our villagers in bulk should be halted for now. We have stopped mass purchase from our local market in all our local government from now henceforth until further notice. Anybody found doing that, we have given security agencies go ahead to confiscate those trucks and share the food to the people.
The state administration also condemned the actions of those who speculate and hoard food in an attempt to profit from future price increase.
All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, those are the issues. Some of the issues we'll be highlighting this morning. We've got Honorable Dennis Agbo here with us. He was the Labour Party candidate for the just concluded supplementary elections. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, quite a number of things going on in the country. We've seen the National Assembly try to invite different persons from security to the economic management team. Even the Speaker is scheduled to also speak on some of these issues here today. The government did say they hear the people, they're doing something, but what the people see and feel out there different from what they're saying. What is your impression about this?
Good morning, Nigerians. The situation is hard for Nigerians right now. Things are difficult. Prices are high. Incomes are low. Salaries are fixed. The prices are rising. So hardship has set in. Cost of living is increasing. Income is fixed. So standard of living is falling. And Nigerians want to see something concrete and coherent being done. If there is such move by government, then Nigerians can exercise patience and maybe wait on, because these things have taken time to bring us to where we are now. Government can have time. Government has been able to proclaim a few things that look, sound as if they want to tackle the problem, or as if they understand that there's hardship in the land. But it has not been matched by the same amount of action. A while ago, some months ago, I was in this studio, and we were talking about palliatives. And my position then, which remains my position now, is that the best palliative is to increase food supply and reduce the cost or the prices of goods out there in the market. That is the best palliative.
But that doesn't happen like that.
But when we discussed this was like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
if concrete action has started taking place, we would have started seeing results by now. There are certain many food items take like 3 months to grow and bring to the marketplace. But farmers still do not feel safe in the farms. There are still attacks on farmers that try to go to farm. We have to put more land under cultivation. That is how to increase food production.
So you've heard, I imagine, some of the managers of the economic team, both on the monetary and fiscal policy side, talk about the kind of policies and measures that they're putting in place. They keep saying that we are better today than we were yesterday. I know jury's out on that one. But as someone who's played in that sector and still does, by the way, so what's your assessment of some of these policies and their impression of the policies that they say they're putting in place?
We are not better today, definitely, and every Nigerian knows it. We are not better today. How are we better? You need food to eat. You need a house to live in. You need shelter over your head. You need your life to be improved upon. Are we eating better? Do we feel better? The reality is we are not better today. But if they are saying there are plans afoot to make the life of Nigerians better, then it can be discussed. But definitely, a change of government happened last year, and so that's at least a milestone to gauge whether we were better in that last government or better now.
I think when they talk about us being better, they're not talking about the living standard of the Nigerian. They're talking about as a nation economically.
How do you measure the?
How do you measure the?
No, I'm asking you. How then do you measure the standard of a nation, if not the quality of life of the people? So I think that the constitution that we have, it says that the key responsibility of government is the welfare and security of the people. Welfare and security of the people.
I want you to take you up on palliatives.
Yes.
So there's so many engagements going on right now. Oh, we're working on it. We're doing something about it. What you've been in that sector. You're still in that sector. What should they be doing right now that will yield results in the nearest possible time for Nigerians? Because it's getting really hot out there.
Yes. Now, what I think, I have an idea I call the National Agricultural Development Initiative. It's like a Marshall Plan. It's like proclamation of a state of emergency on food production in Nigeria. We have what it takes. What that means is that prioritize the agricultural sector. Prioritize it in terms of resource allocation, in terms of the allocation of our revenue. Put attention there. Make the farmers to go back. Secure them. Even if you have to move our security forces to the farms, there are thousands of hectares or even kilometers of land, arable farmlands in Nigeria. In Niger State, you have them. Every other place in Nigeria, just scratch the ground, you can cultivate anything. Secure these farmers. In Benue, you have them. So go secure the farmers who want to go to the farm and farm. They don't feel safe. And when farmers are killed in the farm, government does not take such an action as to this is the very thing that threatens their national security.
In your view, when is the turnaround time for this sort of intervention? When will people start to see a better standard of living based on your submission?
Start the journey. When you start the journey, you begin to make progress. You don't sit in one place and begin to complain. Just start the journey. Let me give you an example. If you map this country into areas of best fit, there are states that are very good in the production of certain agricultural items. Map that state. Encourage them. Give them seedlings. Give them fertilizer. Support the state government to get into massive commercial agricultural production of these particular flagship agricultural produce items. Let that start happening. Let us begin to see government say, okay, Niger State is good for this. Kebbi State is good for rice. Niger State is good for, Benue State is good for millet, sorghum, maize. Where is good for cassava? Enugu State is good for cassava.
You mean like working out economic zones for different areas?
That is mapping the Nigeria into areas of best fit. There are states that are very good for even vegetables, even tea, like Taraba, like Cross River. Map this, begin to do those things. And then begin to take action, begin to clear the land. Let us see tractors get into place, clearing about 10 square kilometers of land. So 20 square kilometers of land. Let us see action. It's not just by...
Speaking about action.
Yes.
Why do you think, because at the moment, I'm not sure if you ask 10 people, they can confidently tell you what the states are doing or what role they're playing in this regard. Why does it come across that way, that they just seem to wait for the center?
What I mean is this. It's going to be a partnership.
Between federal government and the states?
Yes, definitely. Because if I say that encourage states to get into heavy commercial production of certain flagship produce, what I mean is bring a state governor, begin to discuss with him. How much land can we get? Where can we clear this amount, this size of land? Where does it exist? What do you require? How can we partner? What do you bring on the table? We can give you seedlings. We can give you fertilizer. We can give you land preparation. But then, how do you mobilize the workforce to get in there, employ the youths, parcellate the land?
Are you living out
models of agricultural production that we can easily implement? And when you start doing it, when we start hearing it, when we start seeing such things on TV, in reality, not just in discussion, then Nigerians will begin to say something is happening.
But how do you mainstream the private sector in that discussion?
The private sector is really supposed to take the front seat, and I tell you how. There are agri companies. I know a number of companies that got involved in massive production of agricultural produce in Niger State. They were attacked. Their staff were killed. They lost so much. Nothing happened to them. That is how to encourage them, bring them, discuss with them, not create another opportunity for sleaze, for stealing, but discuss realistically with them with a view to helping them. In that way, they will be encouraged to go back and continue producing. If there is flood and farmlands are destroyed, don't just turn your back. This is people's money. And the private sector will want government to come in at that particular point in time and proclaim some kind of emergency. And then support them through that, because a private company willing to get into agricultural production can become so discouraged that they may not even return to the farm again if they have lost all their investment in one flood event.
So let's get some legal perspectives now, because, I mean, looking at some reports that are making the rounds about courts asking federal government to fix prices of goods, address inflation in 7 days. So it raises questions concerning, okay, how is this supposed to work actually? Can they do that? So we're joined now by Mr. Monday Obani, who is the former second vice president of the NBA and chair of SPDL. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Now, this court decision, people still trying to internalize this in terms of the dynamics of how that is going to play. And first of all, I know they cited the Price Control Act. Could you talk to us about how come, if this had been there all the while, nobody went to test the law up until recently, and now that this is coming through, is this enforceable?
Thank you, Chamberlain. First and foremost, congratulations for Super Eagles' superlative performance last night. I'm so excited, and I know every Nigerian are very excited about it. We're happy, even if it's for 24 hours. Now, back to the question. That law has been in our law books, but we have not been able to activate it, just like several other laws that are in our law books, which the government have actually refused to comply with. So what has happened is that a public interest litigator in the person of Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, went to court and then through an originating summons and then asking that the federal government should be compelled to really enforce that law, provision of the law that has been there, Price Control Act, has been there, Laws of the Federation 2004. And then it creates a price control board that's supposed to fix prices of items in Nigeria. But over time, you see the level of impunity in terms of inflationary rate. Yesterday, I wanted to buy banana. I was on my way back from work. The banana that I used to buy for 300, 500, the woman told me 2,000. Despite all my plea, the woman refused to comply in giving me that particular banana for 1,500. She insisted on 2,000. And I was so shocked. The same thing with cement, the same thing with everything in the market. In fact, there is this Yoruba cap I made 2 months ago for 5,000 naira. The woman was asked to do a new one for me, and she told me 10,000 naira. And I was asking why. He said, because of cost of materials. Everything has really skyrocketed. And Nigerians are taking advantage of it. And when you ask them, they use the benchmark of dollar now. And even ordinary woman that says tomato and orange tells you that dollar, is the reason for the price increase. So it's like there is madness in the land. And so Femi Falana felt that this is the right thing to do. If there is a law, that law must be complied with by the government and has gone to court.
So the thing about that too is that, Mr. Bani, now it did mention prices of goods and petroleum products. But we all know that in this country we're grappling with the question of deregulation. So if the court is asking them to do this, and then we're talking on the other hand, deregulate the sector to allow market forces, which they say will ultimately allow for investors to come in so that they can ensure they make profits while they come in. Because if you're regulating the industry, they say, look, it can't be profitable for business. Isn't this going to fly in the face of that economic policy or reason, so to speak?
Can I explain the position of things? In that Price Control Act, petroleum products were mentioned as part of the item that government should actually regulate. Now, if you are saying you are now deregulating that particular sector, then there must be a law that will now say that that particular section of the law should not be applicable. But there is no such any amendment to the law that says petroleum product is clearly outside the provision of that law. The law mentioned all the items. If you find out that particular judgment, it mentioned almost all the items that was included in that law that the government should fix price, including bicycle and the spare parts. If you read that judgment, the judge mentioned all that. It is in the schedule of that particular act where all those products were itemized that government should always fix prices. So if you're now saying you are deregulating and petroleum product is outside the Price Control Act, then there should be a law that would have negatived it. But there's none presently. And so that's why the judge went ahead to make that particular pronouncement. So if the government now had even filed any counter affidavit that said, look, of all the products there, that petroleum products should be out of it, there was none. There was no response. And they were served the court process and there was no response from them. And that's why the court now say, in the absence of any counter, in the absence of any contrary opinion from the government concerning what the reliefs that the applicant was seeking for, the court now agreed that all the reliefs must be granted. So I think it is the fault of the government who has not come forward to say that this particular item is not supposed to be regulated.
Mr. Albani, I heard you say earlier that people are taking advantage of the situation. And we've heard this also from government, so people are taking advantage of the situation. In what way? What do you mean by that? Are we saying that Nigerians are, is it Nigerians that are doing this, or is it government officials? Is it, when they say we're taking advantage of the situation, how so?
Fine. The government's supposed to regulate prices. If you remember that during the former head of state, and I'm talking about Murtala Muhammad's regime went, with the military and was trying to enforce prices in Nigeria. Right? We experienced it even in the 70s and 80s. There was some level of government intervention in the price of things in Nigeria. It got a stage that government does not in any way show interest in issue of inflation, issue of price fixing. And the law has always been there. And so I'm saying that people now look at the government's non-interference. Government not showing any interest in fixing prices. In order to, the woman you buy tomato today, you come back tomorrow, she tells you that, maybe begin to side dollar and then increase her price. I told you that I just want to make a cap now. A cap 2 months ago was 5,000 naira. But the woman told me that it is now 10,000. That is 100% increase. Who regulates? Nobody regulates. So if there is no government regulatory policy in place in fixing prices, people now take undue advantage of that and begin to give you any price that, what of cement? As of January, cement was 5,000 plus. But today, cement is 7,000. Who is regulating this? Who is asking them? It is not proper. It's not right. What is the parameter you are using from 5,000 in January and we are now in February? It is now 7,000 naira. So it's pure madness. So I think that government must, the court has now ordered within 7 days, the government that is very interested in making sure that lives of people are better will intervene in this particular process and obey the court judgment and say, let's now begin to fix prices on items. And that's the best thing for them to do. And I think that the government that loves Nigerians will want to do that. But I don't hope they're going to go on appeal over this particular good judgment.
This presidential committee that has been set up to take a look at, food security in the country, one of the things that we heard them talk about was distribution of food items. What do you make of that? There are many people who do not agree with that, that style of palliative giving. What do you think about that solution that they've come up with? Opening up our storage facilities, distributing food?
Now, is it going to be a perennial thing or something that is temporary? You see, if you begin to map government policies on a temporary basis, it's ad hoc. It does not solve any problem. Just as we are talking about dollar, that we are, putting money into the system and all that, after which we still go back to the issue. If we do not produce dollar, we keep on going. If we are not exporting anything, we keep on importing. So I think that we should look for a more permanent solution by government. The more permanent solution is one, somebody is talking about agriculture. What is government policy on agriculture? We have very large expanse of land in Nigeria, but Nigeria is dying of hunger. Why is it like that? Other countries that do not have much land are feeding themselves and exporting. Why is it that Nigeria have all over the state, all over the country, but we are not going back to agriculture? What is government policy on agriculture? These are issues so that we can do something that is more permanent, something that is more enduring. So because you don't do this policy of doing 1 or 2 or 3 months, after which we go back to hunger. So I believe that government should be interested in a permanent solution. I don't want any ad hoc measures that can only keep you, busy for only 2 or 3 months, after which we'll go back to our, basics. So I think that more permanent solution is what is required at this point. Solution is what is required at this point. Solution is what is required at this point.
All right, let me come to Mr. Agbo in our Abuja studio. Well, Mr. Agbo, you were saying some interesting things the other time, what government needs to do and all of that. There are a number of people watching you and listening who will be wondering, hey, it's easy for us to say, that this is what government needs to do. But then at the end of the day, everything comes back to the political class. It is the political class that is in government. That has to work with civil servants to ensure good governance for the people. It is the same political class that Timberlake mentioned the other time in the states who are supposed to do one thing or the other that do not do the things that is expected of them. It is the same political class that is supposed to foster collaboration between the federal government and the state government. The economic sustainability plan comes to mind, for instance, of that the government came up with in the twilight of COVID-19, saying that the federal government and the state government should collaborate with lands to cultivate the land, in agricultural products for Nigerians. Find out from any governor, or any state government. That collaboration, I don't know if it ever took off. Speak to that, Mr. Abu.
Government. Today, in Nigeria, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Every other state in Nigeria has a governor. There are people in positions. So, if you talk about political class, it is just fluid. The buck stops at the president's table. He has his work cut out for him. He has work to do. If he needs collaborating with states, let him go ahead and collaborate with the states. If he needs to collaborate with the states, let him go ahead and do that. Because we are in an emergency situation and we need to get out here and get out fast. What I am saying is practicable, very practical. There is a Minister for Agriculture. There are special advisors on agriculture. There are other
well, Mr. Agbo,
political office holders of government.
Permit me to butt
around
in for
the area
a bit.
of agriculture.
Just
Let them
one
go
second.
to work. Let them be given targets. Let them be told what to do. Let them be given expectations of the people, and let them, deliver or have them replaced.
Well, just one moment. On that particular issue, Mr. Agbo, just 1 second, if you can hear me. Just 1 second. On that issue, we have a federal Minister of Agriculture, but he does not have authority over the ministries of agriculture in the states. We have a federal...
Every ministry of government has a council.
1 second, please.
That's a council on agriculture.
Just 1 second. We have states who control their lands that the federal government does not have authority over, unless you are asking for a law that will amend that so that the federal government can control the lands. That is why that collaboration is crucial. What, in your opinion, is hindering that collaboration? Because without it, it's just going to be another talk shop here.
See, even if you want to collaborate, even if you want to do something with the states, there are states that are not ready. Not every state has a serious governor. So there are those that are saying, I want to put 20 square kilometers of land under cultivation for cassava. All I need help for clearing this land. I need improved seedlings. I need fertilizer. This is my plan. This is how much it will take. This is how many people can be employed in this plan. This is how much food we can bring out. How many tons of cassava that we can bring out. How many tons of rice we can bring out. How many tons of maize we can bring out. Human beings in Nigeria now, Nigerian citizens are competing with the chicken in the poultry farms, with pigs for our staple food. Why is it that maize has become so scarce that poultry feed now, the price has hit the roofs? So we need to produce, because even when you move from cultivation of food items, you also come to animal husbandry. These animals, they need food to eat. There are things to do to improve both the cultivation of food items and then also even the growing of animal husbandry.
You cited something the other time about the states and the regions coming together to maximize their regional potential. Southeast come together, South come together, and all of that. Mr. Ubani, let me come to you on that. Going by the suggestions that Mr. Agbo is making, speak to that in the light of this law that we are speaking to, the Price Control Act. It goes straight in the face of deregulation, doesn't it?
Yes, the issue is that collaboration by the state and federal is very critical for us to get out of the present quagmire in which we're in. And I think you have hammered so much about that. That collaboration is very key. The federal and states should declare what we call state of emergency, especially on the issue of food prices, an issue of food items. Nigerians are hungry. They want to eat, even if it's 2 square meals a day. Let it be that we have capacity to produce the amount of food that Nigerians consume. So that collaborative effort between the commissioners of agriculture and the minister of agriculture, between the state government and the federal government, in order to ensure that we produce enough to consume in this country. And if possible, have it even for export. Because this dollar thing we're talking about is that we're exporting nothing. We are relying only on one product, and that is petroleum product. And we are not in any way relying any other source in order to export, in order to boost our foreign exchange. So it is important that collaborative effort is there. Now, the court judgment is saying the federal government has a board. That board is supposed to fix prices on items. I have no doubt in my mind that this fine attorney general that is there, that is Latif Fagbemi, senior advocate of Nigeria, is one of the best lawyers in this country, and he has come in order to ensure that government respects rule of law. He will be part of the committee they have set up now, and part of the recommendation is, look, the court has made an order. Involve yourself in price fixing. Let's begin to look at prices. and look at the madness in terms of price increase. You know, you go to market today, tomorrow, you go to market, they're telling you almost 100% increase, and nobody gives you any reason for that. Even though some people will say,
while I understand, my apologies, while I understand what you're saying, do you see the federal government appealing this judgment? And here is why. There are other laws, PIA, for instance, that talks about full deregulation of the petroleum sector. If we begin to fix prices, we are automatically, invariably, one way or the other, asking for a thriving black market. So do you see the federal government appealing this law so that we do not create a chaos, some kind of judicial chaos that could spiral out of control?
I don't know what the Attorney General of the Federation want to do with regards to this particular judgment. You know what I said before is that petroleum product happens to be in the list of that particular law as one of those things that the federal government should regulate. Now, in the light of the PIA, you have just mentioned that now they regulated that industry. I don't know whether they will now probably ask the appeal court to look into that particular judgment that was undefended and say, look, it is not part of the item that should be regulated by the government because of the deregulation policy of the federal government. But most importantly, there must be some level of intervention by the government on issue of food prices. No matter whether it is deregulated and all that, there must be some level of intervention to really make sure that people do the right thing. Even the petroleum products we are talking about, we have agreed we have deregulated it. Most times, even when the crude price, the crude oil, the crude falls in the market, the prices keep on rising. You begin to wonder what is going on because we are not even producing, we are not, using our crude. We are not doing anything about by refining it here. We are still exporting our crude and then importing, and that's why the prices of petroleum product will keep on rising. So the government must come by way of intervention one way or the other. I don't know how they want to do it. But Nigerians are now saying that the government should not allow prices of things to keep on, going up without any measure of intervention. Not necessarily coming to say, oh, product is going to be 16 naira. No. I'm saying.
Unfortunately, Mr. Obani, just 1 second. Unfortunately, it would seem like the value addition part that you spoke to now, that we export crude and import refined products, it's about the same thing that happens in almost every sector in the country. We export cocoa, for instance, and we have to import chocolates and all of that. But let me ask you what you think of the communication process of the federal government. I think about a month or two into this federal government last year, they came up with a state of emergency, declaring a state of emergency on agriculture or on food security. And the president mentioned some thousands of hectares of land that have been acquired one way or the other. How far that goes up until now, people are wondering what exactly is happening. Do you see communication as a problem that is also responsible for this unrest in the society? Because perhaps if there's been sufficient communication between government and the people, maybe things would have eased a little.
Yeah, I am not making an excuse for this government, but the little I know about them is that most of the things they are doing now within this 6 months period, will create some level of hardship, But the long-term effect, if they implement all the things they have told Nigerians, those things will begin to cushion, the prices of things and whatever measures, that are causing hardship, will begin to reduce. But the most important thing, as you rightly pointed out, is the issue of communication. If you don't talk to the people, if you don't tell them what you are doing in this circumstance at the moment, they will begin to feel that nothing is being done. So the communication, aspect you mentioned is very critical and key. The government should be able to tell us, when you came in, you made pronouncement that you are going to tackle this, that this issue of the regulation will go on because we are going to make more money in order to deal with other economic issues that have been, bothering Nigeria. Now, how much money has been generated by this removal of subsidy? Because you told us they're going to make so much money from the removal. How much have been generated? How much have you plowed back in reducing the economic hardship on Nigerians? That has not been done. So I think that the communication skill of the government have to increase in order to tell Nigerians what they are doing, in order to really make sure that things are normal in the system. It's very important. I agree with you. For now, we don't know what has happened, but I know that something is being done by this federal government in order to reduce the level of hardship on Nigerians.
All right, so Honorable Agbo, I did ask if this is enforceable, because how is government expected to fix prices of goods they didn't produce?
I really think that regulation is not the way to go now. We have left the regime of regulation. We are in a free market now. What government needs to do is to create policies that will unleash products out there in the market and bring down the food prices, bring down general price of items. Going back to talk about price regulation, I don't even know, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't know that law is still there. But we have long left the regime of regulation. My brother, the lawyer, who is talking about this thing, mentioned about the military regime of Murtala Mohammed. I don't know whether we are still talking about this military regime. No, I think there are policies. If you bring your banana to the market and there's surplus banana in the market and you find that you couldn't sell because your price is too high and people had bought from your neighbors and they have gone home, tomorrow you bring down your price. Let prices be regulated by the availability of the produce. And now so it's a demand and supply kind of thing. That's the economics I understand. The economy of fixing prices and telling somebody that when he goes to exchange dollar for 1,500 naira, he should come and sell his banana at a certain price, and the clothes he has to, the pen he's going to buy for his children, the exercise book and everything, they have all hit the roofs. And then you bring everybody and say, okay, queue up here. This is how you are going. This is how much you are going to sell. This. I don't understand that economics, and I wish I do. But the economics I know is the economics of free market. It's the economics of demand and supply. The free forces of interplay between demand and supply.
That takes time. And if you talk to people from government right now, they will say, oh, we are working on the policies right now to ensure that this free market actually brings things down. That takes time. In the interim, you don't think that regulating prices will discipline people who are taking advantage of the situation?
How practicable is regulating prices? Because so that we don't just finish talking and nothing happens. How practicable is it to regulate prices? But what is practicable is unleashing. There are things we can do. We have the land, arable land. We can encourage farmers, support them. The one thing with government in Nigeria is that they think that supporting farmers is like giving them being father. Every other nation, to feed your people, you must have to encourage the farmers. You must give them guaranteed offtake. Every product that they bring to the market, you must buy it off them at stable prices. Then you can, let me tell you another thing what government can do. If you have purchased the items from the primary producers, and you have created silos and so on, and you now think that the prices are too high, you can push your own into the market to stabilize the prices. Those are the things that government can do.
Well, since you said you didn't even know that law is still there, maybe the lawmakers may have to have another look at some of these kind of laws to see what they can do if it's not
I don't think that
work.
Lawmakers will, as a lawmaker, I don't think I want to start taking Nigeria back again to regulating prices.
We thank you for coming on, Honorable Dennis Agbo. It was Labour Party candidate for the just concluded supplementary elections, and Mr. Mondo Bani, former second vice president of the NBA and chair Speedel. Thank you both for coming on today. So is this policy going to be, thank you. Is this policy good for business? But I know that this time is business time, actually. So, Ini.
Thank you.
Yes, Chamberlain, I'm also wondering if that price-fixing policy is good for business also, because the general rule is when you supply, when you have supply in the market, then the price has no choice but to taper. But when we go the way of fixing prices, that's where we see the black markets. Remember when the government closed the borders for importation of rice even up till now, we see a lot of foreign rice, and then the price tells you what is going on right there. Even the FX situation, when the rate is fixed, which is one of the reasons why the CBN has removed that cap for IMTOs, for dollars, or selling or buying of dollars. So that is supposed to discourage black markets. So when we go the route of fixing prices, then we know that we are opening the legal window for activities to boost. Well, thank you so much. And of course, the economy is on the top front burner for everybody at this time. Even our political programs, they don't have a choice but also delve into the economy. Welcome to Business Morning here on Sunrise Daily. We are not discussing anything different from what you heard from our Sunrise team right there, because that's the most the hottest and the most burning issue. Oh, apart from the AFCON, congratulations, Nigerians, for that win yesterday against South Africa. Very close one. I know our hearts were beating. Every one of these days talk about the business of football, business of sports, but congratulations. At least we have that to smile about. But the economy, obviously, is nothing to smile about, or majorly nothing to smile about at this time. But let's start from the global space before we come back home to Nigeria and tell you about the grain in the global space. Chicago soybeans lost more ground on Thursday, while corn prices traded close to a 3-year low that it hit in the previous session, as improved weather in Argentina and Brazil boosted expectations of abundant supplies. Let's look at the prices right there. We see wheat was down 0.5%. The price is $5.99 for a bushel. And then soybeans also dropped 0.1% at $11.88 for a quarter of a bushel. Corn followed suit, also down 0.1% at $4.33 for 3/4 of a bushel. And we know that the weather, of course, is a major one. And there's still forecasts of more favorable weather in South America, mainly in Argentina, which have raised hopes of even bigger crops. So, of course, when we see, just what I said at the beginning, when we see more supply, then the prices will drop in any market at all. And from there, we go to the global oil space and tell you that oil extended gains on Thursday after Israel rejected a ceasefire offer from the Hamas, while a weaker dollar also supported prices. Brent crude, we have the number right there, $79.51 a barrel. It's gained 0.4%. Here, supply is squeezed, because of the rejection of that offer. So we see it's gaining 0.4%. The U.S. crude, also WTI, gains 0.4% at $74.12. Needless to say that this is what Nigeria trades on. And once the price goes up, it is to the benefit of Nigeria on one side, because we still import, the refined one. That is the negative part. That's why it's affects as well. Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu rejected that latest offer right there. But U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has said that there was still room for negotiations towards an agreement. The Palestinian Hamas delegation, led by senior official Khalil Al-Hayya, was due to travel today to Cairo for ceasefire talks with Egypt and Qatar. And we know, obviously, the outcome of that is going to move these prices either upward or downwards. Now, let's come back to Nigeria now. In the oil space, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has announced the commencement of oil production from the Akpo West field, recording 14,000 barrels a day. Increase of supply, good news. The NNPCL made this announcement on its X handle yesterday, and this will be followed up by the production of about 4 million cubic meters of gas per day by 2028. Akpo West, located 135 kilometers offshore, stands as a remarkable discovery on PML2, complementing the Akpo Main, which commenced operations in 2009 and boasts a production of 124,000 barrels of oil equivalent every day in 2023. And, well, good news, a little bit of relief now, about 24 hours after the Chief Corporate Communications Officer of the NNPCL, Mr. Olufemi Shuneye, shared the company's statement about the tightness experienced in certain areas that was due to brief distribution issue, according to him. He promised us that it had been resolved, and yesterday, this time, we still had the queues, but thankfully, this morning, there's been ease. We've noticed a lot of NNPC outlets are now dispensing. And of course, there are long crowds there because people want to fill up their tanks, even though we're still awaiting the spread to other filling stations. But the good news is we have started seeing ease of the queues at the filling stations. And we hope that by the close of work today, that would have spread to other filling stations. Now back to that hot issue in Nigeria. 2 days after many residents of Minna in Niger State's capital trooped out to protest high cost of living in the country, others have joined in neighboring Suleja, also in the state. They've staged a protest over the same matter. We did talk about the possibility of this spreading. Well, the protest, this was yesterday, was only a few kilometers away from the Federal Capital Territory. We see the bug being caught in Abuja, and it's coming after the police and the state's command said that they had arrested 25 persons who led the protest on Monday. Remember, the ruling party, the APC, had also accused the opposition that they are the ones behind this protest. And somebody will ask, are we using the same markets? Are we shopping from the same markets? If you say that people are not really hungry. Well, you can see that there were people carrying placards with various inscriptions such as Nigerians are suffering, stop the hardship now. Similar protests also held in Lokoja as traders took to the streets over the incessant high cost of essential commodities across the state. The protest was organized. The one in Suleja was organized by market women and men, and they had markers in their hundreds protesting vehemently for that. Remember that the President Bola Tinubu, had directed that a food intervention should be provided. We've also seen the governor of Niger State also speak and rule out some measures that should be used to curb this, and we hope that it's actually effective enough, even though some of those statements have also generated some reactions. You know, people can have money and you cannot buy in bulk. Well, different ways of managing the issue, but we certainly want a lasting solution to this. So we shouldn't be surprised that the Federal High Court in Lagos ordered the federal government to fix the prices of goods and petroleum products within 7 days from February the 7th. Justice Ambrose Lewis Alagua granted the order sequel to an originating motion filed and argued by the applicant, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana. The Senior Advocate of Nigeria had dragged the Price Control Board and the Attorney General of the Federation to determine whether, by virtue of Section 4.1 of the Price Control Act, laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, the first defendant is carrying out its duty to impose a price on any goods that are of the kind specified in the first schedule to the price controller. We need to know that there are some product or food items that have been listed here, like milk, you know, the dairies and all of that. But let's talk about this and a whole lot more now with the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Ruwani. Mr. Ruwani, good morning. I know there's been protests, we've been seeing it and all of that, but I don't know, somewhere in my mind, I did not expect the courts to get involved. You know, but what are the implications of this order 7 days from yesterday? What happens if nothing is done, if it's still the same situation? What are the opportunities available to Nigerians through this?
First of all, this is one of the side effects of a democratic setting. Everybody has rights, and everybody has fundamental human rights as well. So I think somebody had gone to court to ask for an interpretation of the Act, the Price Control Act, and tried to superimpose that on the price of petroleum products. But like one of the other speakers said earlier on, the fact is that there is a PIA, which is a Petroleum Industry Act, which states clearly that the price of petroleum products are deregulated. Therefore, in law, I'm not a lawyer, the later laws take precedence over the earlier laws. And it's only when there's a conflict between the laws and the Constitution that the Constitution takes precedence. But let's look at it from a macroeconomic perspective. The reality is that if you fix prices, then the laws of demand and supply break down. And if you are having an open market system in terms of reform and all of that, and you want investors to come into this country, you cannot fix prices. Therefore, it's totally inconsistent and incompatible with macroeconomic principles in modern day economics, and also it is inconsistent also with the investment-led strategy which this country has embarked upon over the last few years.
So now that we see this, maybe it's a lawyer that should answer this, what could happen, but we can talk about the spread of the protest. And this is the fear, because 2020 is not so far away. And once we see protests spreading, then we know the chaos that could come out of it. And then we'll say, oh, the protest has gotten out of hand and all of that. But the truth is people are hungry and people just want to be heard and they want to see. I know that the guest of the Sunrise program, Sunrise Daily program, had said perhaps it is the issue of communication. Now, Ms. Arwani, you are close to, the corridors of power. Is that something that we do not know, which the government is doing, to deal with this situation of high cost of living?
First of all, I'm not close to any corridor of power, but the truth is that the cost of living crisis is a carryover and a spillover from high inflation. High inflation is a spillover of low productivity. Low productivity is also a consequence of low investment. So you are looking at a picture, a macroeconomic picture, which shows some amount of failure and stress in the system. How do we solve it? We don't solve it with riots. We don't solve it with protests. All you need to do is to understand it and come clean to the people that this is the situation, and these are the programs that we have in place, and then let the programs be real and credible. Right now, the reason why you're having this riot is that people feel hopeless, and it's fueled on by other factors, but people feel a bit hopeless, and they need to be reassured that, one, things are happening, two, that they will see results very soon, and also three, is that the people who are preaching reform cannot be seen to be living ostentatiously, right, in lavish lifestyles, while the people are suffering.
I guess that would be a bigger communication to Nigerians. If we see the squeeze affecting the elites in the country, then Nigerians could say, well, we are all affected and we are waiting for the result. But let's move a little bit away from the not too far, because we're talking about the value of the Naira, which is an offshoot of inflation. And we learned that the CBN met with BDCs yesterday, still talking about the FX rate and all of that. Could you tell us what you know about this, sir?
Well, I understand that there were meetings, and basically there are two elements here. Mr. Cardoso's administration has embarked on what we call the feedback room. He consults with participants and stakeholders. He internalizes what he has heard, and he comes back with guidelines which are not disruptive. So I think that in trying to understand the market structure, from the banks to the oil companies to the BDCs, he is consulting widely so that they can come up with guidelines that will allow the market to become more efficient, and that the price discovery mechanism, which is trying to embark upon, can be much more efficient. So I think that's what it is. Has it resulted in anything yet? No. Just the consultation is the first step. The guidelines that will follow will be the next step. And then the markets will react if they believe it, and the markets will react either positively if they believe it, or negatively if they do not believe it. So Nigeria has its work cut out for itself. And as we speak, the market, the Naira traded at about 1,518 Naira in the parallel market. The official market is still about 1,480 or something like that. So the convergence, the difference between the parallel market and the official market is almost like 1%, 2%, which is fair enough. Now, what will make the official market and the parallel market appreciate happen? A couple of things. One, we just announced that the AFCON field is going to be producing an extra maybe 20,000 barrels of oil a day. That kind of information feeds into the system. The higher the oil production, the higher the oil revenue. The higher the oil revenue, the stronger the Naira becomes. Two, remove all these restrictions. There are too many restrictions. Dismantle many of them. so that monies can come in. I think we've seen something with the IMTOs and all. So if those monies start to come in, and people are now clear that there's consistency between the restriction, between the policies, the guidelines, and the market expectation, you will see that the market Naira was begin to appreciate. But one important thing that happened yesterday was that the Treasury bill rate went as high as 19% for 365 days and 17% for 90 days. That significant increase in the interest rates closer to the level of inflation will tell you immediately that the Naira should appreciate. Technically and theoretically, the Naira should appreciate today. The casualty of this process is that the higher interest rates is going to knock the stock market. I can assure you, the stock market is going to be plenty of red ink today, because people are going to take their money from equities and put it in government treasury bills and the money markets.
Yeah, well, because investors will always look for where, the higher income or higher profits will come from. But I mean, still talking about the Naira, with all of the steps that the central bank has taken and conversations, consultations, as you've noted right there, it will still take a while before this drives down to the commodities market.
No, not really. You see, what has happened is that global commodity prices are dropping, while domestic commodity prices are increasing because of the exchange rate pass-through. Now that you've taken some steps on the interest rates, the next step is mopping up liquidity. After you mop up liquidity, immediately after, the transmission lag is not as long as you think. In a few days, the people realize, because you are every day replenishing your inventory. So if you have to replenish your inventory at a lower price than it was, you begin to reflect that in the price. If not, you'll be stuck with old inventory and expensive stock, and you won't be able to sell that, and that will put you in a uncompetitive position relative to your rivals in that market. So what are we seeing? We've seen domestic commodity prices. Noodles are up 35% in the last 3 months. We've seen wheat, flour up, significantly higher. Semovita up, and diesel. Diesel is the main thing. We saw diesel go up, maybe because of the shortage, maybe because of something else, but we saw it go up to 1,350 Naira yesterday at the retail level for diesel. And there's a strong correlation between the price of diesel, the price of logistics to distribute goods, and also the level of inflation in the country. That's very clear. So there's something to worry about in terms of domestic prices. The inflation projections for January are not looking that good. I think they're looking closer to 29.8 or 29.9, which is virtually 30%. And the following month also, something higher. So when you have the cost of living crisis that you're seeing in Suleja and Mina, you're seeing the exchange rate being sticky in a particular level. And we are seeing other, we are now just beginning to see the higher interest rates, which will have its impact on consumption. It will take at least another month or so before we begin to see the direct impact of this in lower prices, higher productivity, and higher investments. But there's a lot of work to be done.
And I guess one of that work to sustain, any form of boost to the Naira or reduction in inflation will also have to face our security issue, especially when it has to do with agricultural production.
Definitely. Because that's once movement is restricted because of security concerns, it means that goods will not move. If goods cannot move, that means even if you produce, the supply will not get to the market. Supply does not get to the market, prices remain high. And prices remain high, you have cost of living crisis and demonstration like you've seen all over the place. So you have to solve this thing comprehensively, not in isolation.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Bismarck Makarani, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll turn our attention to something Mr. Rwani mentioned, which is what happened with the Treasury bill yesterday. The Central Bank of Nigeria sold a record 1 trillion naira at the Treasury bill auction yesterday, with the 364-day Treasury bill stop rate spiking to 19% per annum. Details we have right there on the screen. Let's look at it. The auction date for the February 7, 2024, that's going to mature February 7, 2024 we saw that, okay, this is not really what I want. Okay, but we did have a whole lot of movement there. You have it there. So you see the offer of 100 billion, 200 billion right there. And then you see the subscription and see the stop rates right there. So the highest yesterday for the stop rate was at 19%, and we had the lowest at 17.24%. These are the range of bids and the allotment. So it was a booming fixed income market yesterday, unlike what we've been having at the NGX. And that's what Mr. Rani thinks, that today the market, the NGX, the equities market, might end in the red, as we would see investors, conditional investors, move to the fixed income market. We saw that the one-year bill witnessed a threefold oversubscription of about 1.8 trillion naira compared to 600 billion naira that was on offer. But yesterday, Ladi spoke to the head assets and liabilities at UBA to give a little bit of perspective to this. Mr. Chuka Nwachukwu spoke on this.
Well over 400 basis point movement in rate for the 1 year, from 11.54 to about 19%. That's a huge increment. This is industry watchers have actually anticipated this, especially with the fact that the CBN pronouncement from the CBN governor of late, talking about encouraging foreign investors. The government, through the CBN, is doing everything possible to encourage foreign investors to come in. You notice that on the auction as well, we saw a subscription well over 1.6 trillion was a subscription, and then 1 trillion was offered and sold. This going forward is what we expect. We expect to see high yield, and this will continue to encourage foreign investors as well as local investors.
Okay, now let's speak to Mr. Bosun Obembe now, fixed income and FX dealer with Access Bank, to share his own view too. And tell us, Mr. Obembe, good morning. What did you guys do to the market yesterday? I mean, 1 trillion, it went from 400 billion to 1 trillion on offer, but investors were willing to give more than 2 trillion. What was the attraction? Obviously, the yields.
Exactly. Good morning. Thank you for having me. The yield is the attraction. So if you look at the stop rate, which is invariably meaning that the government is borrowing at 23%, that is fantastic yield. I don't know any of the corporate that is doing dividend yield of 23%, and this is risk-free. So what this entails is, I think, is in a bid to actually attract the foreign portfolio investors. So, the way in which we get FX is through maybe FD and FPI. So, and the foreign portfolio investors, they are saying that the current levels before now, which we have maybe 11% on 1 year, that is too low. So what the CBN has done is to actually work together with the DMO to attract these foreign investors so that they can bring this FS flow. And at a current yield of 23% and sub rate of 19%, is a very attractive one. So meaning that as an investor, if I bring in fund at say 14.50 and I make a return of 23%, if rate doesn't depreciate to like maybe 1.7, it's still a positive carry for me. So it is a very good one, and we can see the impact on turnover in the high earning window. If you see the turnover this week, we witnessed about $1.2 billion in turnover. On Monday, it was $584 million. On Tuesday, $465 million. And yesterday, $203 million. And with the auction result, which I think there was a meeting the governor had with the investor where he told them about the reform he's trying to do. And it's like what he has said, he has stopped they can see it in the auction result. I think we'll start seeing this flow, even though this is a short-time fix, but it's a good one for the market.
Yeah, so we had Mr. Rwani there say that he sees investors moving from the NGX to the fixed income. But as you said, I mean, it's 23%, you know, and all of that. But some people just need the money to come out quick. You have to wait for a year, at least 365 days. Do you really see that movement to fixed income? How long do you see these being sustained in the fixed income space?
Yeah, I think I want to support that. I see that movement coming into the fixed income. You know, if you invest in the equity, you face there are risks that you face. So if the company doesn't make money, you don't get to pay dividend. You don't get dividend. But this is risk-free, and you don't need to wait for 1 year before you can actually exit. So because you have secondary market for this instrument, so you can sell it before 1 year, and by the time we start seeing this book coming, the yield might go down, and when the yield goes down, you can sell and make money. So I think it's a good one, even for retail investor. I think one of the reasons why CBN has done this is to actually discourage people from maybe you are converting your Naira and investing it in a USD instrument, because there is no USD instrument that will give you this return. It's massive, and we have another auction coming up in the next 2 weeks. We have about 265 billion in the next 2 weeks, but I believe the DMO working with the CBN, they will upsize it, because for this one we're expecting for about 437 billion maturing today, but the DMO upsized it to 1 trillion. So meaning that 1 trillion was raised. That is additional 582 billion was raised yesterday, but at a fantastic yield. So it's good, really.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Obebe, for your time this morning. We'll see what happens to the NGX today and tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, Will Ebong will be drilling on that much more at 1 p.m. during Business Incorporated, so you don't want to miss it. Perhaps that's where you want to put your money at this time. You may make some money. All right, just before our time runs out, let's see what happened at the market at the NGX yesterday. Yes, we celebrate the fixed income market. It did so well, and to the detriment of the NGX, unfortunately. It was a little unchanged, a little bit down, though, very minute. That's why it was unchanged. Not very bright colors there, gray, because undecided. And the equities cap is at 55 trillion naira. The volume was totally in red yesterday from the volume, the value, and the deals. I mean, we normally would have a double thousands right there, but we see it dropped about more than 17%. Value less than, more than 15% was off the money in the market, the value of the capital market yesterday, and then volume also was down more than 10%. And banking again sustained that profit taking was sustained on it. Consumer goods, however, was in the green. Industrial goods marginally down. Insurance just coming up has also joined, and oil and gas remains unchanged yesterday. Top trades had Transcorp, FBN Holding, and GT Core right there for the top trades. So let's see if the fixed income guys will win today. But that depends on you, you know. If you decide to put your money at the equities, then the equities will win. You are the one who decides. But thank you so much for spending this time with us. Don't go anywhere, because the Sunrise team will be right back with another very interesting conversation.
not won this trophy yet. So please,
this game was.
Okay, well, for 24 hours is allowed. Okay, so the thing is, yes, Laulu is here, but well, I don't know. Looking at some of the issues that played out, this one is more. This is heavy now on the hearts of a lot of people. Big one. And I mean, everybody wants a break from all of these hassles. Everybody just needed at least a boost, a break. But unfortunately, there are some who died while they were watching. So news just coming through. So people need to just be cautious, be careful how they go through some of these matches. And so when Ayo says he doesn't watch it, it's understandable. So, but just check and be sure you have to be alive. You have to stay alive to enjoy all of this victory while you can. So, 2 people are joining us this morning, but unfortunately, Mr. Emmanuel Amunike couldn't make it. He had to just, some circumstances came through, so he won't be here today. But we do have, alongside Laulu here, Mr. Ida Petersaidi joins us as well today to talk us through some of these matters. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program as well this morning. But before I come to you, Mr. Petersaidi, let me ask Laulu on this. First, let's get this out of the way. We looked at some of these issues that are played out. The government, the court order for the governments to ensure that they regulate prices and see how things go through. There's been protest in some parts of the country. They say owing to the rising cost of living and they can't cope with that anymore. The government themselves have met saying, we hear you, we're doing what we can to ensure that that doesn't become your situation in the long run. But how people internalize that and how their policies match up with their action, I think that will be one of the biggest challenges that they will face. But what's your assessment of how all of these things have been handled?
Okay, thank you, and good morning. And by the way, we pray that the memory of Mr. Karo Jubo will remain blessed, and may rest in peace. So what I think has happened essentially is a wake-up call. If you look at what that court ruling is, I'm sure that we're going to have the debate among the lawyers whether this is something that can actually compel specific actions on the part of government. I've heard some of them say that, well, look, this thing cannot be enforced. But what we cannot deny is the fact that there is requirement, there are constitutional requirements that compels government to take the welfare of the people seriously. And that is one lesson that we cannot remove from that court ruling, that the court is saying that, hey, you got to deal with the issue of price inflation, because government has the instruments to make, to deliver that kind of good in terms of reasonable prices, welfare, even in terms of security. Government has the resources to make it happen. So that is how I interpret, the ruling and the implication. The other thing I want to say is that it's important for the people that are at the head of government, whether in the state or at the federal, that look, for instance, in the federal, it is about the president. The president is going to get the blame or the praise for what is happening. This is happening under his watch. Now, I can say, because of what I experienced, that a lot of the problems that we are dealing with today, they have been on for a long time. And there are people that understand the problem, even more than the average guy. I think that the president should reach out wider. His party, the APC, has been in government for 8 years. There are people that have been working on this problem for 8 years. It's important to benefit from their insight. Don't forget what I said. It is he that will take the blame or the praise, or the praise, whichever way it goes.
But the question then is, because part of what we did ask them is, this decision by the courts, do you see it being practicable?
Yeah, well, so lawyers will have to deal with that question. But I imagine that it's going to be difficult to enforce. But hey, what do I know? We are going to see what happens. But like I said, it is important that the court is making a ruling on the matter. It underscores the criticality of governance. You are in power, you have the resources of force, you have the resources of state to ensure that there is welfare for the people.
And besides, the economic management team and the president, they need to show that they know what this is about and they know what they're doing. Because, look, the prices, basic amenities, staples are going over the roof. And there isn't any guarantee that that is how far it can go. It will yet go higher tomorrow. It will be worse than this tomorrow. And people are already saying, what can be worse than what we're facing right now? So it's up to them to see how all of this is addressed moving forward. But speaking about blame and praise, I think it's all praise for the Super Eagles right now because they put smiles on everybody's faces. I know, Mr. Peterside, you did give us an inkling, even though many thought it was just mere prediction, but who would have thought when you said that scoreline yesterday? But was it just just a guess? You just hazarded a guess, and then that was it.
No, come on, Chairman. I'm an expert. No, come on, Chairman. I'm an expert. No, come on. No, come on. I might not be expert in politics or food matters like my brother is talking about. For this one, he's talking about. But yes, we knew something was going to come out. You see, especially when you create a momentum, we have momentum on our side. After our last game, where we beat Angola, everybody started believing again. I was watching a video this morning of Osimhen, where Osimhen said he didn't have any reason to play yesterday, that he was in so much pain, and that he had to almost crawl to knock at the door of his teammate for them to know that he was dying. That's how bad it was. But he said, we've all made sacrifices, and that's what you need. We've always complained that these boys were not giving us enough. Those of us that played for the national team know what it means now to sacrifice and know what it means to play for your country. So we saw that yesterday. From the last 3-4 games, we've seen this union among themselves, and like Osimhen said yesterday, everybody should just leave their story behind until they come back with the cup.
Well, that match yesterday, if the South African had taken those chances, I know we can only say that now, thankfully, but then there must be lessons there for us because the kind of attack that our defense faced this time was different. And so would we say that it was owing to our tactical approach or what? What did you attribute that to, how we scaled through?
Yes, we did well. The defense did well. I told you yesterday it was going to be the toughest game we've played. And I think they waited for us. They planned against us. We have 2 central defenders that are not too fast, not too quick. And they had their two stop strikers that were as quick as lightning. So all they did, they would let us play and come forward and just drop the ball behind our defense. And it kept challenging us. Again, credit goes to our goalkeeper. I think he's and I think they said if Tinubu cannot save the Naira, Wabali can. So he was fantastic yesterday, and he was our hero for the night.
Mr. Peterside, just so we can actually get, because you are in Port Harcourt right now, and we've seen videos online of people going to Wabali's father's house yesterday after the game, and the mood had just been really ecstatic. I want you to be able to talk to you a little bit about our next game. What should we be doing differently as we face Ivory Coast in that final? I know Nigerians are very excited about this match, but there is a final we have to get ready for. What should we be doing differently? We all knew this was going to be our toughest game. The game against Ivory Coast will be easier than this. Why? Because we've beaten them already in the qualifiers. Remember, we beat them in our group stage. We beat them 1-0. They only survived by sheer luck or misses to get here. I watched the game against Congo yesterday. They are not as good as we are. All they have is just, I remember years of Fani Amo. They've just fumbled and wumbled and fumbled and wumbled into the finals. And they will be under tremendous pressure. Even if they lose at this finals, they've done well.
We always wanted the host team to do well, to at least get to the semifinals, so that they can either play the semifinals, the third place, or the finals. They have achieved that. They have succeeded in anything they've planned for. But they're meeting a formidable side. What do we do? People fear us. We are Nigeria. I've always said this over and over again. We're Nigeria. We have this pedigree going for us. The final game will be so easy. I say it again. It will be so easy that I think we will win easily.
Careful.
Is it as easy as 7 naira?
Careful. This level of confidence.
Yes,
we should be careful.
You need to, it's like the weatherman. The weatherman tells you, he reads the weather and tells you 25 degrees, 30 degrees, because they look at trends and they look at whatever they look at. But we've played this game, Like I said, I'm not a politician, but you've been in the system for a long time. The butterflies that will butter in their stomach on Sunday will be unbelievable. They have gotten to a place where, like I said, anyone will accept any kind of result. We are not there as Nigeria. We will not accept any other result but to win it. Yes, they would want to come and win it, but they will be under so much pressure. You remember, like I said, they have not done too well in the qualifiers. And where they are, they don't have a very qualified coach that has taken them to this level. They're just playing by sheer guts. We have to win. I say, we need to win. We just need to win for too many reasons. That the support base is great. I hear that for the first time, the president has come in, sent money to the team. The players are smiling. They have enough cash in their pockets. They're sending some dollars back home to their families. Why are you thinking that people know Wabali's father's house? They're all going to check because there will be drinks. There will be drinks and all that. I hope to go and visit him today myself too, and see if there are any leftovers from last night. And but my appeal, it has to be collective. My appeal. I'm a pastor, so I've told my church members to wear Nigerian jerseys on Sunday and come to church. It has to be a collective thing that these boys will know that we're behind them. I think government officials, people around the country should organize and wear the Nigerian jersey as a sign of oneness. Let's just come together. I'm not sure Boko Haram kidnapped anyone last night because they were all celebrating. That's what football can do for this country. That's how much unity we need. And we just beg on this, our politicians, to look at it from that angle, that we have feelings. I had you guys talking about foodstuff, bread. How can you win a match like this yesterday and you can't buy bread? It doesn't make sense.
Olalo, I just wonder, I know the VP is there, the president sent him, and he's also spoken about how they've attended to their needs. Yeah. Well, who knows? Who knows if at the end of the day, anyway, we're all expected to come back with a trophy. But even government folks all over the place celebrating, that's the VP right there, with the team, or hoping that the last match will be, as Mr. Peterson has said, it will be easy. Well, yes, you're in green, but I was going to ask you if it's football you like, or tennis, or squash.
I was a soccer player myself.
Oh dear.
Outside left for Liverpool in 1979.
Did you watch the match though?
Absolutely. All the way.
How did you see it?
All the way. I think I agree entirely with Peter Sai that we have a very good team. In my view, I think Nigeria's team is the best, in this tournament. And all things being equal, we should lift the trophy on Sunday. I think it's also a good point that you have the vice president, not just watching the semi-finals, but actually spending time bonding with the team and celebrating with them. That has a lot to do in terms of pushing them forward, inspiring them to go forward. And I hope that the vice president will stay there until Sunday, or the president himself goes there to witness the finals. Very important.
But do they always think, wait a minute, what if I go, because what if the president goes and the team doesn't win? Do they think about what the people will say? Or think?
Well, look, the important thing, and that's the point about leadership, you have to just go out there and do the thing. I think that we have a very good chance of carrying this thing, of winning this thing. So it's and it's an opportunity for the country. Like as I said, it's like we're getting an opportunity to show that look, when we are united, we are unstoppable, and it's a moment that can be calibrated to push us forward as a people and as a government. For those who are serving us.
Ayo.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Well, let me begin with Mr. Peter's side. I almost lost a bet on you yesterday. Well, it wasn't a bet really. But a friend like me was saying, I don't have the courage to watch this thing, but I have to watch and I don't want to watch. I have to watch and I don't want to watch. I just said in passing, I said, it's going to be 2-1 victory. I said, how do you know? I said, well, someone told me in the morning. And that was you. So thankfully, we won by 2 goals instead of 1. But, generally, one of the concerns that one of my colleagues here is raising, well, maybe not a concern, but just a point of observation, you may want to speak to it. The fact that up until now, Victor Osimhen scored, and almost every time he scored, the goals were cancelled. For one reason or the other. He facilitated almost all of the goals, but what's going on with that one?
Well, let him go and wash his head. Let him go and wash his head. He's a Yoruba boy. Yeah?
I don't think that is the thing. But most of the time it's perhaps because VAR will always put him on the offside position and all of that. Is it because he's being massively marked by the various teams?
It's absolutely. He's the player of the tournament. Give it to him. He's the player of the tournament. He's just been unbelievable. His force, his work rate. He's leading this team. Look at it from every angle. He's not wearing the captain's badge, but he's the leader on and off the pitch. Look at during the penalties. You understand? He was there gingering the player. He's just been my man of the tournament. It's not about scoring individual goals to take individual glories now. It's about a collective victory. You're right? It's Nigeria. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. It's Nigeria. Nigeria wins when one person does well. And these young men are representing us. I've never felt like this in years. The last time was in South Africa when we won the AFCON. But this time, with all the pressure in the land, what a relief. And this morning, I drove to the market. I drove to go get some few things. People were in clusters, smiling, happy, just talking football. This is just what unites us in this country.
That's what we said
to our leaders. Put some more interest.
I was going to ask a question as a result of that, Mr. Peter's side. I was going to ask a question along that line. Every time we win, celebration all over the nation. It's like a dash of forget your sorrows, and there is jubilation everywhere. In schools, in hospitals. People watched this match in hospitals, in schools, in government houses, all over the place, in various homes, celebrations all over the place. And we see, even in the north, massive following in the north, nothing, no politics and nothing. Is there any lesson in sports that can be, particularly in football, that can be cascaded into governance?
Again, and I think it's what we call one voice. One voice. Once we leave talking sports, a politician comes in, everything changes. They begin to say things that disunite us. They begin to say PDP, APC, North, West. These are the things that destroy us as a nation. I think we should get to the point where we talk one Nigeria. If I see you now, you are Yoruba from Rivers. If we meet at the airport in New York, immediately I will hug you and say, my brother, how you doing? But we don't talk this talk. I think it's the political class that has caused this in the country. The words they use, the things they say. Use Iboni, Yorubani. No, we don't need those kind of talks. So those leading us, there must be an orientation. There must be an orientation that will begin to speak Nigeria. Those in the media, in the media field, must begin to talk one Nigeria. If one politician comes in or somebody comes in and begins to talk division, we shut him down. We tell him, no, this is not accepted here. And once we begin to change the mindset, I was very young years ago when I think it was Buhari then. They brought this thing, war against indiscipline. I was quite young, but you find that even in our schools, they will tell us war against indiscipline. When you get to a place, you queue up. You throw a piece of paper on the floor, you're asked to pick it up. Our orientation is wrong. You go to, there are two people are talking the economic here. You go to buy a piece of bread. Somebody tells you because of the fuel. What you do, one country will boycott that shop. We'll tell them if you don't bring your price down, nobody buys from you. It's quite painful. And I think those that are in politics should listen to us. Okay. Don't listen to yourselves and drink champagne. Hear us and see how we feel. And once you begin to talk, they begin to arrest you because they think you're talking politics. We're talking Nigeria here. We must come to the place of unity and talk Nigeria. Go to Ivory Coast. People are flying down there, traveling down with one jersey. Nobody knows which color of jersey. You bring a governor to speak to you, look at behind him. He will put a flag.
Well, your passion is quite. Yeah, your passion is quite communicable, Mr. Peter Side. But let me take the same question to Mr. Akonde in our Abuja studio. Having worked with politicians and knowing the way they think, Mr. Akonde, do you see a way of? I want you to answer the same question, or a way of drawing some strong lessons from our sports, particularly football, into governance, not just politics.
Right. Yeah, very important 2 points, that we can draw from it. First of all, is that we are a united people after all. We are united. That's the truth. The average Nigerian does see the other man or woman as his brother or sister. That's how people relate. So football shows this every time we're playing and we're winning. The second thing is that when we learn to put merit first, we don't care who it is. We put the guy who can solve the problem in charge of the problem. Then the problem will be solved. I think those are the two important points that we can get from this. There's unity. The people are united. And then when we do what we're supposed to do, we get the results that we desire.
All right, we need to wind down. So, Mr. Bitterside, are you in touch with anyone in SA? I hope everybody is fine over there.
Yes, the biggest problem we've gotten some messages where people have sent messages to the goalkeeper threatening him. I hear some people are telling him, don't come back to South Africa since you didn't want us to score, stay back when your team is playing. This is unacceptable. We've not heard of any violence, but just threats. They've been threatening him and threatening some people, but we didn't see any violence yesterday.
All right. So we're hoping that everything stays calm because there has to be that spirit of sportsmanship. It's sports, for goodness sakes. All right, we have to thank you for coming on, Ida Pittside, the former Super Eagles goalkeeper, and Laulo, the former presidential. Thank you both for coming on today.
Thank you.
All right, so that is the show. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I thought it was actually Friday. All right, we'll see you next time. Anyways, I'm Chamberlain or so.
Have a wonderful day, and remember, energy, energy, energy. Let's get this thing done by Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Magwa.
In the meantime, please keep the celebration going, whatever else. Keep your joy. I'm Ayo Makinde. You have a wonderful day.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com. Click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast